The next person, Daniel. We've got Daniel from the Australian Museum.
Hi, my name's Danny Adams. I'm working on the FrogID project for the Australian Museum. A little bit about myself is that my background is working for environmental campaigning. So a lot of what I do is create social media that's going to get people engaged and excited and then to take action. So instead of talking about my project, I'm going to try and give you a bit of a big picture about some of the strategies that I've used for setting up FrogID. Oh, thank you. And yeah, keeping people engaged and excited. Firstly, why bother with social media? The main reason, I think, I don't need to really explain it for everyone, but we want to reach a bigger audience. We want to educate people. We want to get people who aren't involved in the project involved. And we want to keep people who are already involved in the project and sustain their involvement. And what really sustains people in projects, as well as the causes and the science, is real human friendships. And that's what people are already using social media for. And that's what keeps them coming back. So when you're thinking about content, I'll talk about content in a second, but when you're thinking about content, what you really want to be thinking about is not just creating content for people who are already your supporters or your volunteers, but creating content that they will be really proud to share with their friends and their family, because those are the connections they already have. So they already have these connections in their own social network. So you want to be creating content that speaks to people who aren't already your supporters, but your supporters will be happy to share or excited to share. FrogID, so we only launched on the 10th of November, but we are doing very well. We've had, these stats were from when our PowerPoints had to be submitted, but they're up to 13,000 recordings submitted, 117 frog species verified, and we're about to hit 10,000 users. So it's going very well, but one of the reasons it's doing so well is we didn't start from a cold start. We've really been building on networks of networks. So there is a lot of, the very first thing that we did was we partnered with museums. So the museums across Australia helped push out through their networks to help launch FrogID. And that also helped us connect in with other citizen science projects. There's been a lot of support from a lot of people online. Just the people that are using the hashtag today, I know, have already shared and promoted FrogID for us. So building those network of networks has been vital, and part of the strategy behind that was making sure before we launched, we were trying to identify who were the people we wanted to build partnerships with. And when I spoke about real human partnerships, that also means the people we're working with. So getting to know the people behind the social media accounts and the people that have already built up followers, because although it's great when people retweet you, the best way to ensure that will happen is by knowing who's actually running the account and meeting the people that you're going to be working with. And making sure that it works both ways. So if people are sharing your content, that you're resharing theirs as well. We also building up a bit of a content plan in advance is great, because when you're busy and you're doing many things, you don't always have time to be going back and thinking about, you don't feel as creative or imaginative when you're under pressure. So when you've got the time to plan ahead, do it and work out your content. Even just having something big and vague, like report on stats at this time of year, can still help you when it comes to that time of year that you know that that's what the content you want to be putting out. It also helps to plan it in advance, because you want to have diverse content. So you want to have content that speaks to a whole range of different people. So people that are already supporters, or people that have never heard of whatever you're working on. So people who might not know anything about frogs, you always want to be able to reach out to that new audience, so that people are going to grow and share that content. And then what you also want to do is make sure that if you're relying on networks of networks and you're building up things, you're cross-sharing stuff. So if there's a small local group that's shared your stuff, make sure that you share theirs and recognize what work they've already done. Mention people in tweets and acknowledge work groups and share links. It's not great for you to always repurpose something and put it on your own Facebook page, say. Share the link from the group that created it and acknowledge it. Even if it's not particularly like our project's frogs, but just sharing stuff that is about citizen science or about other projects, it really helps connect people that have multiple interests and multiple volunteers. 1 minute left to summarise everything. So with social media, though, what you really want to do is continually have campaign access points. So that means, how do the people get involved in your campaign? And you don't always want to have the same access point for everyone. So an access point can be an event registration, groups, email sign up. It can be through the website or an app. But the more access points you have, the better. And you want to make sure it's going into a good database. Within our database, we've set up, one of the things we've done, which is very useful, is having groups. So that can be regional groups or local groups or already established groups, like there's some Frogger groups that have set up their own groups. And allowing people to then be contacted individually or segmented by those groups is very useful. If you've got a database that you can also bring up people continuously through levels of engagement, so social media is generally where you'll first onboard people, like they might first encounter your campaign. And what you want to do is bring them up through the levels of engagement. The most important thing, though, probably is when someone is a high level of engagement, they're your experts or they've been volunteering for years, you don't want to be emailing them like they are a new sign-up. So make sure that you prioritise and separate those really high-level supporters. Just wrapping up, in conclusion, make sure you have lots of entry points on your websites. And a great affordable database that is very cheap if you've got under 10,000 subscribers is Nation Builder. Once you hit 10,000, as we've just learnt, it goes up a bit, but it's only $30 a month if you have, and it manages your website, your email, and your people database, and you can also set it up for donations if you need it. Thank you. Sorry.